Tired of eating the same thing every day? Here's a fun and easy pesto recipe for you. So the ingredients here are pretty simple. Our recipe makes about 6 servings, which includes a 16-ounce box of pasta, 2.5 cups of fresh basil, 2 cloves of garlic, a third to a half cup of olive oil, salt and pepper to taste, 2 tablespoons of pine nuts, and a food processor is recommended. For the pasta, we use a 16-ounce box of gemelli pasta, but you can use any type you really want.
We also got 2 hydroponic plants of basil from the grocery store and used them both. But what you want is about 2.5 cups of basil leaves. The first step is to break off all of the leaves of the basil plant and put them into a colander. Then, you're going to rinse them thoroughly and dry them on a paper towel. You just want to make sure they're clean and dry, as to not put any water into your pesto. Also, make sure you have a food processor because it will make things very easy to make the pesto in the end.
Get your food processor ready. You're going to put all your basil leaves in there and the 2 whole garlic cloves.
Grab your olive oil and put a generous amount. You want about a third to a half a cup. This is going to make the pesto smooth, but don't overdo it because you don't want it to be too runny.
Put some salt and pepper in there and a handful of pine nuts. If you don't have pine nuts or are allergic, it's not a big deal. It just gives the pesto a little taste.
Okay, so now you want to put the lid on the food processor and blend the mixture for a good 2 minutes or until the basil leaves are blended into a thick mixture.
Right about now, you also want to get your pot of water boiling. Let the water boil on medium to high heat while you work in the pesto.
If the pesto is a little tough and thick, then put some more oil in it. A very small amount though, you don't want to overdo it. Put the lid back on and pulse the food processor to mix it all in. This is about what the consistency should be. There should still be a few chunks of basil leaves in there.
You don't want to overblend. That will make it have a very bitter taste. You're going to need another medium to large size pan to cook the pasta, and by now the boiling pasta should also be done, but before you drain it, you want to save about 1/4 of a cup of the pasta water to use later.
In your other pan, put the heat on low to medium and pour some oil in it. Put the drained pasta into the pan as well and saute the olive oil and pasta.
Now you'll take your pesto sauce and pour it into the pasta a little at a time. There's no specific amount, just look at how much pesto you have and roughly divide it into 3 pours.
Each time you pour some in, you want to take your wooden spoon or spatula and coat the pasta evenly with the pesto. You also want to take the pasta water and pour it in small increments. It gives the pesto a little bit more grip to the pasta.
When you've poured all the pesto in and coated the pasta, the last thing you're going to do is sprinkle in some shredded cheese. It can be any cheese you want. We used a random 4-cheese blend that was just in the fridge.
You mix that in with your wooden spoon and that's it. Your pesto is all done and ready to devour. You can pour it into a dish to serve and enjoy.